a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
We are chatting this morning with Rodney Piggott, chairman of the Tobago CivilNet. And this morning we're going to have joining us virtually Dr. Darlene Harris, who's a pediatrician and of the Pediatric Society of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, before we chat with Dr. Darlene Harris, I wanted to speak to Mr. Piggott and really speak to CivilNet and what CivilNet has been doing, or Tobago CivilNet to be specific, has been doing within the Tobago space. And I have to congratulate Mr. Piggott and his team because not only does CivilNet focus on governance, good governance in Trinidad and Tobago, particularly in Tobago, but it's all about educating its viewers and people on different and varying issues in our lives. So I wanted to commend you this morning on that.
Thank you. And I will definitely pass those kudos on to our members, particularly our young people that's part of Tobago CivilNet, because a lot of them drive the mission that we're doing, and they push the mission that we're doing. All right. So I have to pass the kudos on to them.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. Joining us virtually is Dr. Darlene Harris, and she's a very passionate pediatrician with more than 10 years of experience in her field. Dr. Harris has her own pediatric practice under the banner Kiddie Health. Dr. Harris is a member of the Pediatric Society of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as an international member of the auspicious American Academy of Pediatrics and its section on child development and behavioral pediatrics. Dr. Harris, good morning and welcome to our program.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Tobago.
All right. Now, let's talk a little bit here about, in terms of what you do. You're a pediatric
Pediatrician.
Pediatrician, that's the term. Pediatrician. I don't know where my mind is this morning. You're a pediatrician. And when we speak to issues surrounding our children, I realize at this time the focus is on what our children eat. Are we feeding the children to be successful or just to be full? Now, we live in a society, we live in an age where we don't have the time. In fact, we no longer have the time. It's about getting them fed as quickly as we can, so that we can move on to other things. And oftentimes, getting them fed the correct foods drops by the wayside. The aim is to ensure that their tummies are filled. Feed them, not about what they're being fed. So remind us here this morning of where along the way we did drop the ball.
I would say you hit the nail on the head. Basically, life has become fast, right? As parents, we no longer have the time. We are very, very caught up in all that is around us. And the thing about it is that where we drop the ball, we can't say, because we would have grown up differently to how this generation is growing. But it's because of the different modification and changes in lifestyle that has led us to this point where no longer are we promoting healthy eating with the fruits, the vegetables, healthy snacks. No longer are we cooking Monday, Sunday to Saturday. We buy a lot of food and buy a lot of junk food, for want of a better word, right? So it's not just about, the fast world, but also the choices we've made, and the choices we've made is also because of the various choices that we are exposed to. And that is where I would say the discrepancy, or as I said, where we drop the ball.
And how can we begin to pick up the ball? Because in the midst of the fast-paced life, our children are suffering. We find a lot of children. In fact, before I even say that, what would you say are the top three health concerns where children are concerned?
Wow, you're really making it narrow with 3, because there's so many health concerns. If you ask me for the top 10, I can just rattle that off.
Give us your 10. Give us your 10.
Honestly, the top 3, I would say, one would be, so when you deal with health, for both adults and children, it has to be a holistic approach. And that is why I love the initiative and I love the drive being done by Tobago CivilNet, where they're looking at the holistic approach, the whole person. Because health is not just a disease. Health is not just being sick. And in the case of children, for many parents, we only get called when there's a cough and cold. But those appointments and visits where you do the counseling and we do the conversations, those are the ones that they miss. But to zero in on the question you asked, it's more of just physical health, mental health, social and emotional health. So top 3, I would say, would be broken down into those areas. You have to look at the physical health. So when you look at the physical health, definitely amongst children, although it's not considered as an ailment or you're not seeing your child actually sick, they actually are. So being obese, obesity, overweight, poor nutritional habits is one. May not be the top one, but definitely is one because it leads to other conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. And what we don't know, it impacts on some of the chronic conditions we commonly see, such as asthma, for example, where asthma is exacerbated by obesity, where our children who are obese that have asthma, we find that they are less controlled than the ones who are not. So definitely that is one aspect. The mental health, I know we weren't touching on it because we were more, focused on the whole nutritional aspect. But definitely I would say that mental health is very, very, very important in our children. And I think it's an area that is ignored because, we have this facade that all children are happy children. That's not true, right? A lot of our children are fighting silent battles in their heads, and because we are traditional society where, we are raised certain ways, they're scared to come to the parents just to say, well, mommy, daddy, this is how I feel, so their feelings are not taken into consideration a lot of times. And that is something that also needs to be addressed because we have a lot of children going into adolescence where the rates of depression, suicide, anxiety are very high, and we don't know this and we are not recognizing this. So in synopsis, I know I didn't give you 3 diseases, but generally that is where we're looking at moving forward in the future to come.
Right. Let me chat a little bit here with Mr. Piggott, and I know that you would have contacted and made the arrangements here with Dr. Harris. Why focus on children at this time? And this is where we're heading. What's eating the children? Why the focus for CivilNet and our children at this point?
Right. Very good question. Our children are always at the forefront because they are the future. They are the ones that's coming up behind the generation that is now, and they're the ones that's going to be taking over and looking to innovate. So if our future is sick, if our future has an epidemic, as the World Health Organization points out, that obesity amongst children is now an epidemic. Epidemic. That's one step down from pandemic. So if our future is in that kind of shape, then the society, the growth of the society is impacted in a very, very, very real way, bad way. So our children are most important to us. In our African societies, children were considered like gold. The way you look at gold and diamonds now, that's how children were revered. They were like royalty to a family. We didn't beat our children. There's a way to socialize children and bring children out without traumatizing them with a whip. That's the habit we picked up on the plantation. That we hold on to proudly. I got beat, so I'm going to beat you. No, this is royalty. And if we treat our children as royalty, then we know what goes into the body of a royal person. And as Dr. Darlene will point out to you, it's not just about what the children are eating and how the children are functioning mentally and so forth. It's a family issue. And Dr. Darlene will expound on that. It's a family issue. So children are not going to eat healthy if the family is not eating healthy.
And that's a very interesting point.
And I just want to add on to what Mr. Piggott is saying. So walk with me on this one, right? If it is you have children at the age of 10, 11 being diagnosed with diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and fast forward 10 years from then when it's their 20s and 30s, It's very unlikely. It will be great if it's reversed, but it's very unlikely to be reversed. So now you're going to get, in 10 years, a population that is heavily dense with conditions such as diabetes and hypertension, heart disease. The productivity of our society is going to drop because these people cannot work. They're going to be home. They're going to be missing work. It's going to be a problem. So there's going to be economic losses for our country. That's one aspect. The next aspect you have to look at is the burden on the health sector, where it's going to explode in 10 years. It's exploding now, gradually, I must say. But in 10 years, when these people become adults, it's going to explode. And then the burden on our health sector to provide for these non-communicable diseases, which could have been mitigated earlier on, it will be too late at that point, right? And then the third thing is that from a personal point of view, these persons will not be living their best lives. And the aim for any pediatrician would always be healthy, happy children for healthy, happy adults. And that is where the focus needs to be on. And as Mr. Piggott said, they can't do it alone. Children, responsibility is to learn, to have to play, right? And then they develop into adults. The responsibility comes on the parents and the extended family as a whole. So this is not a decision for the child to make, to say, well, okay, I am going to eat healthy. Yes, that may happen with adolescents, but it has to be a paradigm shift. It has to be a mindset change that comes not only from the child, but for it to come from the child, it has to come from the parents, and it has to be a family decision to make the change.
Much. Mr. Piggott, there is an opportunity for parents to get involved here and to get the correct information to begin to make the necessary changes. Tell us about that forum.
Tune in tomorrow on the Facebook page of Tobago CivilNet. It will be Zoomed. You will hear the lovely Dr. Darlene Harris, and you can tune into Tobago CivilNet, like our page, and we will be there. Or you can come into the Zoom room and enjoy and hear what Dr. Darlene has to say. And it's very important that you follow the instruction of our brother Kabesi. Bring pen and paper, because there will be a question and answer period at the end of her presentation.
That's right. There will be an opportunity, and again, for parents to get involved. And I know a lot of parents have you have your questions, you have your concerns. Write them down so that you'll be able to pose the questions to Dr. Darlene Harris at that forum. Again, it's happening tomorrow. And for further information, you can call Rodney Piggott's contact, and it's on the screen on that flyer. 323-1958 if you need any more information. Again, congratulations to you, Dr. Darlene Harris, and to the Tobago CivilNet. Thank you again for taking the time to chat with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right, so viewers, that's just about it. We want to thank you so much for joining us for this segment. We've got lots more coming up this morning on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. So share the live, share the live, share the live.